Welcome to the Tongue of the Trees. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer, and today we're talking about what is clove essential oil good for. And we're talking about the mind, body and spirit, so actually emotional, mental, spiritual aspects of the clove essential oil, but also later the safety and the blending of the oil. So first of all, let's just do a recap of how useful clove is for antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial. We hardly talked about it because it's such a big thing. It's too big to talk about. But basically, because it's so high in eugenol, it's a very, very powerful antibacterial. So any kind of bugs that are lurking, I would always use clove. It's as strong and powerful, I think, as tea tree. You know, it's really helpful oil. But where if we look at tea tree's card in the essential in the deck, we would see its insights. Clove is very good for talking about how things leave an impression on us. The keyword is impressionable. So it's very good at being, it's like a teacher oil. That's the best way of putting it. It takes away feelings of uncertainty and doubt about stuff. So I think I said that in the recipe hub this month, there's quite a lot of oil of recipes using clove for stomach problems, for nervousness, for just general aches and pains and coughs and colds that perhaps we wouldn't say had an emotional containment. But I'm fascinated, particularly now, if I were to go to the post office and somebody with COVID had been there and used the pen before me, probably 30 people will use that pen before it gets sterilised. I mean, that's reasonable to think, isn't it, in that hour? It's very busy, our post office. So out of those 30 people, how many people will walk away having contracted COVID? Well, we can say that it would be down to, did you touch your face? Did you wash your hands? All of that stuff. And that would be correct. But there will come down to a situation where everything else will be equal. But one person will get it, one person will not. So what is it? Now, as somebody who is a fervent believer in psychoneuroimmunology, I believe very strongly that something let it in. So something was not right in the emotional or mental bodies. That meant that there was a glitch, a little hole that meant it could get into your immune system. So notice that I'm very certain about that. Yeah, I'm absolutely certain. That is my belief. Lots of people believe very strongly in God or whatever. That's, to me, that's my belief. That everything happens because our emotional, mental and spiritual aspects are off. That's what happens in the physical body. That if there is such a thing as a god or a goddess, it resides in my cells. Yeah, that's my belief. I am certain about that. That feeling I understand, I believe, and I know is very clove. Yeah. So the idea that I know I can get better. I know that I probably have to do something different, and I'm going to work out what I'm going to do different. Also, clove takes away feelings of uncertainty and doubt. I've put creates a rainbow bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And definitely you'll see how in some cases an essential oil will operate on the conscious mind. Sometimes it operates on the subconscious mind. Clove always operates on the subconscious mind. It brings warmth, it brings passion, it brings feelings of stability. Think about as well how we use it in everyday life. Forget the essential oil for a minute. When do you smell cloves? You smell cloves at Christmas, don't you? That feeling of I'm home, you know. It's amazing that you are tapping into the energy of the clove. You've inhaled it and it's reminded you, and it's operated that part of the brain. Very good. But also, oddly, when we're talking about these intangibles, it's very good at working on the conscious mind from the point of view that it gives logical assurances. It helps you with really clear thinking. Remember how I said about the Google computer and the strategic thinking, about how thinking one step ahead, one step ahead, and that comes as well from that feeling of, well, I know that'll be okay. I know that will have repercussions. That's probably wrong. You have that clear sense of believing in your own intuition. And where it's not an oil, I would say, was in tap with intuition, something like clary sage, you know, that's got a real sense of scrying and you feel like you're using the intuition. This is listening to your gut, you know. I know that's right. Yep, I can feel it in my waters. Feel it in my waters, that's right. Very clove medicine. So, as I said, the key word is impressionable. Let's read through my notes. I've put it's a warrior type. Of course, it's hot, it's fierce, it's strong. In fact, when I see it in my mind's eye, I see like a Scythian warrior with all a great big shamanic tall hat with loads and loads of tassels down the back, and it's definitely not of the Western world, you know. It's fierce, strong, Scythian, what's the word I'm trying to say? You know, like the Russian steppes kind of feeling, you know. But very, very reassuring because it's on your side. You know, he's at the front. He's leading everybody else behind, and you trust that he knows where he's going because he has a very strong intellect. He helps you to strategize and to think things out. And now I've written here the opposite to what I said earlier. I said I think it lives in the subconscious, but in my other notes I put it resides in the conscious. So that's for you now to try and work out for yourself, because obviously then that switches from day to day, because the other day it didn't feel like it was in the subconscious. Today it definitely does. So here's some homework for you. Go and make your own decisions. Where does that live? Several, you know, if you've not done that before, you're sitting for 6 or 7 days and asking the question over and over again, where do I feel it? How is it making me feel? But where do I feel it? Interesting. Interesting. Fierce protector, yeah. Ruled by Uranus, but you all know it's Uranus. You know it is. So Uranus rules the unexpected, the things that come out of nowhere. And your Scythian warrior, he definitely came out of nowhere. But remember how I said it's strategic thinking. The biggest enemy of strategic thinking is this idea of, what if I haven't thought of everything? What if something else happens? And Clove makes you feel, but that's okay, I'll deal with it when I come. You know, it feels very strong and reassuring that you can navigate and swerve whatever's happening. And the main associated solar plexus, because of course it's digestive, is the the main associated chakra is the solar plexus. So what does that mean? So that means identity, reassurance, feeling things in your gut, but core strength, confidence, you know. All of that just comes from that one little tiny drop, one single drop, because it'll go into the bloodstream, move to all the places that need it, but also as we inhale it, not only do we remember Christmas, but we remember all of those lessons that we've learned over the years that have tapped into that resonance of Clove. So now I'm going to show you a spread. Now, as I recall, it's been that long since I recorded the spread. I don't think it's got Clove in. It may have. Don't think it does. But I want you to see how the Tongue of the Trees cards work in action. And then when we come back, I will tell you a little bit about the safety. going to run through a quick layout for you to show you the different cards. Now, one of the things that we're not going to tell you in this video, in these videos, is the poem that goes with the cards. But for this layout, we will read them to you just so that you get a chance to sort of feel how the different poems look. So I thought I'd show you the cards. As you can see, lovely little box. I'll show you the other side. Boring stuff, except for cool stuff what I read. Okay, so if we open it up, we can see that the cards just have one logo on, and that is because these originally were Gegle's cards. He's been selling these for a long time in Hungary. Mostly they've been bought by kinesiologists, interestingly enough. They've been doing the energy work with them. They haven't got any aromatherapy background, but they've been able to tap into the energetics of the oils to be able to move emotional blockages. So let's show you. So these come out nice and easy because we've got beautiful little ribbons. And let's get rid of that. So if I said to the cards, what energy do I need? What oils will help me do the best job with these videos? Let's have a... Now, my friend Belinda used these the other day, and she does have a habit of shuffling them the wrong way. So we'll have to hope that they're all the way right up. I'm not doing a good job of keeping them that way. So let's have a look. What do I need to do a great job? So I think, it's up to you how you do it, but I think cut it 3 ways, cut it back. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So first 3 cards off the top. Cedarwood Virginian. I'll tell you why I'm laughing at that in a minute. Heart Rose and Lavender. That's a beautiful blend, isn't it? Reason why I was laughing about a Cedarwood Virginian is when Gegle and I came to do the notes of all the different cards, we both went, oh, we've done these cards for Cedarwood Virginian and I don't really know how to explain them differently. And because I was doing lots of editing work, I went, oh, just leave it. So yesterday I did a meditation with Cedarwood Virginian and got the most beautiful, beautiful work out of it. So you must tap into that tomorrow, have a listen to that video and see it was really different stuff that came out. So let's have a look. So if we go to the book, we can see that there's a brown streak on cedarwood, and that tells us it's the woods. So we find the woods. Slowly but surely we find the woods. At the back. Okay, so I'm going to use the other cards just to cover up the other pages, because you know what? Sooner or later you're going to have to pay me for something. So, Cedarwood Virginian. Actually, I'll show you this, but I'll read it to you because I'm hoping that it doesn't turn back to front on you, but it may well do. So, Cedarwood Virginian says, hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. Hold strong. Don't be swayed by the winds of change around you. Stand tall. Resist the temptation to listen as the naysayers surround you. Keep focused on the job you have in hand. Remain strategic. Don't veer from tactics you've planned. Listen intently to information on the breeze. Remain determined. Your courage is what makes me pleased. And I'd forgotten, I stopped halfway through because I'd forgotten this is the only one that went like a round. It kept repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And that taps in beautifully to the determination, doesn't it? I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. I'm keeping on reminding you. So, and actually, definitely watch the video on Cedarwood Virginian, because you'll see just how spooky that is when you see the meditation work I did. Now, you'll also see on here at the bottom of the page, there's the energetics. Now, we're not going to talk about these energetics at all in the video. You might want to go and buy our knowledge base. Now, the knowledge base is completely based on this, and it is a set of lessons on each of the aspects. So, middle to base, you're going to hear about that today when Gergely does his blending. So that's there. It also vibrates on the throat chakra. So what does that mean? Within the knowledge base, there is a complete set of information about the different chakras. We do as a lecture on each different chakra, how it affects on the emotional body, how it affects the physical body, how it affects the mental and spiritual bodies, and how that's working. So when we're looking at the knowledge base, this information here describes how the energies move through the system. What energy shift has taken place that we are getting these different physical problems and mental issues. So we can see that cedarwood Virginian operates on the water element and the earth element. And again, in the knowledge base, there's a complete section about, we talk about the about half an hour about the water element, then again about half an hour for the earth element, metal, fire, and whatever the other one is, gone out of my head. And then here we can see Sagittarius. Now, so that tells us that what planetary rulership it comes under. This is medical astrology, and this is actually how I see the different energetics playing out. Some people see it through the Ayurvedic, some people see it through Chinese medicine. This is always the lens I see it through. And usually we'll talk about how it's ruled by the moon or the sun or Saturn and the different trends that we see out. And when we look at an archetype like that, it's like, Jade Schutz always says, it's like a metaphor, and that's a great analogy of how you can see the thread playing out right across the medicine. And so you can see that cedarwood Virginian is Sagittarius. So in the knowledge base, we talk about the different signs and planets and also the different houses. If I remember right, Angelica, for example, falls under the Pisces Aries cusp. So that's really quite a difficult one to understand. There's a whole lesson about the Pisces Aries cusp. And then again, Chinese medicine, it nourishes yin. What does that mean? What does it mean? It calms Shen. Shen is an interesting phenomenon all in its own right. It's the consciousness, our mental faculties, our imagination, our emotions, God with a small g, God with a big G, all of those aspects. Is a complete lesson about Shen and how the essential oils can affect it and change that to move the energy. And then we can see increases Pitta, reduces Vata, balances Kapha. So it's interesting, actually. I do know at the moment all of my oils tend to come out with earth energy. It's quite interesting hearing me do the earth energy lecture because it's entirely about the challenges I am facing at the moment. But if you are somebody who sells essential oils and you're looking for a way in all of the time, that right, you're talking to the person at the school gate, for example, and you can see, she seems a healthy girl, to be honest. She's loving her kids, she seems happy. Imagine somebody who's got a really sing-song voice all the time. Oh, my darling, how did you get on today? Was it lovely? I know. And then child walks off. How are you? To everybody. If that sing-song voice never quite relents, then you can imagine that there's an earth energy imbalance. So any oils that fall under earth energy are a good ones to sell. So yeah, if you are interested in learning more about that, ways in, just kind of being able to see, talking to somebody, what might be clues of what's going on of that energetic shift, then head over the knowledge base to have a look at that. So what was our next card? It was Rose, wasn't it? Queen of Roses, as you know. I do love my roses. Let's have a look. So the flowers, I think, are at the front of the book, if I remember rightly. Beautiful pink. Oh, they're both light flowers, aren't they? So rose, rose, rose. Damask Rose. I was thinking we'd miss Rose out, but it's not under Duff for Rose. It's under, sorry, it's not Rough for Rose. It's Duff for Damask Rose. I remember writing this one, actually. This is quite sad. So it says, standing by your graveside or sobbing into your pillow. I know your pain. On the days when you feel lonely, worried or sad, I know your pain. Through the nights where sleep seems far away and you feel like you might break, amidst the anger, the confusion and desolation, I feel your pain. For I was there, remember, when you smelled the roses of their love as your fingertips stroked my petals and tried to avoid the prick of thorn. I felt your hopes, your fears, your joy of deep connection. I ensnared it in my scent to help conjure that affection. In my fragrance, remember hope. Let my aroma you complete. May scent of celebration heal you, calm you and help you sleep. For through me you are never alone, always loved and open to give and receive more. Smell me, open up and feel safe to feel love once more. Now I anticipate that these will be different for everybody, but that's entirely my dad talking to me. I feel quite choked up reading that, actually. When he died, he gave me a rose bush. My cousin works for a rose bush company, David Austin Roses. I'm sure you've heard of them. He's quite a senior manager there, and Dad arranged for a rose called Noble Anthony to be given to me and my sisters at the funeral. So I go and sit and talk to the rose bush. That's a great reminder that my dad's with me today. So that actually, Dad, that really helps. Thank you. So let's have a look at the energetics. We can see middle heart chakra, obviously. Water. Now, again, as I say, in the knowledge base, there is a much bigger lecture on water. But the energy of water is how it can flow around any obstacle and find a way to fill the space. So that's great. That's lovely. And Venus is obviously the planet of love, but there's lots more to do with beauty and and money. Actually, it's an interesting lecture on Venus. I like talking about Venus. Balance is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. If you don't know, Vata is very drying, Pitta is hot and fiery and moist, and Kapha is sluggish. So it brings it all into alignment. But in the knowledge base, as I say, different lectures on each of those. So it nourishes the blood. Well, I've got funny blood, actually, so that's useful to know, Dad. Thank you. Yin and essence. So yin is the feminine aspect. It's very gentle and passive and receptive, and it harmonizes the heart and Shen. We just talked about Shen. So we're going to put all these in a blend in a minute. And so last but not least, the cards have told me that I should go for lavender, which I guess is probably just over the page. Still in the pinks, as you can see. Oh, I remember this one too. Cover them up, cover them up. Can you see? There we go. Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. When you breathe me, dilly dilly, softly you dream. Anger and grief, dilly dilly, softly drift by. Worries and hurts, dilly dilly, kiss them goodbye. When you feel tense, dilly dilly, look for the bees. See how they buzz, dilly dilly, resting with ease. Learn from their hum, dilly dilly, for they all know. Learning to rest, dilly dilly, helps you to grow. Breathe in the scent, dilly dilly, lavender's light. Calm your stressed mind, honey honey, surrender the fight. Release cares and worries, dilly dilly, I help you to see. Life is so good, dilly dilly, just let it be. Okay, I'm going to let them flow, not force them. This helps, this really helps, you know. I've got to tell you, when I was helping Gergley do this, he was sending me his notes, and every time they came across it, I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to do the cards. These are really hard. Didn't like my poems at all. Really found them difficult to do, and really, I just wanted to be writing my Melissa book, which I kind of still do, but I'm feeling a bit happier. Now I've got the cards in my hands and I can see them because they really help. Honestly, they really, really help. So, and of course I might be biased because it's my words talking back to me, but hearing the plant and seeing it written down, it's very, very helpful. So, actually I've probably skipped the most valuable part of the process for speed. But when you turn out your cards, if you have got the oils, I would sit and breathe the oil as you read the poem. And that's very difficult to do on this camera like this, but because then you will really hear, you'll have that connection with the plant. It will open it up to you. So top to middle note, as I say, Glay's going to talk to us about the blending. Water, we've just talked about how that finds ways, effortlessly finds gaps to do things, doesn't force it, just gets around any obstacle. Heart chakra again. Mercury, communication, data, information. Yeah, that's very mercurial medicine. We'll talk about that. I know it's a very interesting lecture about Mercury. I originally wrote the Mercury ropes for the pain practitioner program. And so these are quite detailed lectures, about half an hour long, the medical astrology ones, because of course that's my passion. Neutral to cool is the action. Yeah, cooling like the roses. Activates chi. Now again, we'll talk about chi in the knowledge base, but basically it's the life force. And you know how we said we talked about Shen? Well, if Shen doesn't have adequate chi forcing it through, then it becomes disrupted. And I always think about it feeling like you're treading water. So the activation of chi calms Shen or nourishes Shen or raises Shen, depending on which essential oil it is. It aggravates Vata. So yes, this is one of my favourite nags. So the world tells you to put lavender essential oil into every massage oil, into your moisturiser, into your bath. So it aggravates Vata. People, it will dry you out. That is how you get dry skin. Aggravates Vata, makes you a bit vapid, a bit dreamy. So all of the time you're like, you know, like the dreamers that wander around on a cloud. If you're not careful, too much lavender makes you that. Pacifies kapha, so it stops you feeling sluggish, stops you feeling heavy. It's not really directly indicated for constipation, but that shift of energy through kapha would release not only constipation but congestion in the sinuses. And pacifies pitta. Well, pitta is hot, so it's calming. It reduces inflammation. Anything that's red, hot, angry, it'll calm it down. So there we go. So first, I've got my smelly stick. And really this is only for, because then I can stick it down my top and you won't be able to see it. So we could use aroma pendants, we could use massage oil, sniffy sticks, whatever. This is just what works for me, and that's the most important thing, that it's the thing that works for you. So cedarwood Virginian is a fast oil, if I remember rightly. So this is quite a thin distillation. Ooh. And then we'll mop up everything off the table. Dip it up, wipe it up. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's smoky. It's beautiful, and I can tell you the lecture is about tapping into your ancestral line, and given that my ancestral line is full of wizards and witches, that's very helpful. Lots of plant healers coming to my aid. So a bit of lavender. Warm the bottle. You'll notice I cover the thing. It's not because I'm covering the labels, although it's because I can't be bothered going, don't ask me which oils I use, but it's more because it's very cold in this shed, so things get stiff, especially myrrh. Goodness me, when we come to do the myrrh video I have to warm it up 3 weeks before. And then beautiful rose, Look at the colour of that. Beautiful. It's my favourite bit, you know, was it waiting for it to come out, just seeing the colour. Have I got the nerve to let it drop? I have. Go on, mix, 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 blend. You know, whenever I try and do videos, I always want to have the image of oils mixing, and it nobody ever quite videos that effectively. I think it would be beautiful. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that is sheer heaven. Just beautiful. So yeah, if you obviously want to buy the cards, there's a link underneath that tells you where to get them from. But also, if you want to use the knowledge base, there's a link through to that too. And goodness me, when you start to smell that and you feel all the knowledge base opening up all the different shifts in the body and how they move and how they're executing through the physical body, it's really extraordinary. It's a whole new layer to plant medicine. So there we go. That is how to do the blending. Can't wait for you to watch Gergely talk about proper blending in a minute. Hope you enjoyed that. So let's talk about clove safety, because it's a funny one. It is. So the first thing to say is maximum dilution is 3%. So that feels really strong to me. Well, you know, if you watch my videos often, excuse me, I need to put my arm down. If you watch my videos often, you'll know that I hardly ever go to maximum dilution anyway. I tend to use 1 drop. Less is more as far as I'm concerned. You can always add 1 extra drop. But 3% dilution is safe, but feels like somebody's going "Rah!" at me. It's way too much, okay? But also to let you know that you need, I'm pretty sure that Gergely will talk about this in his part of the video, but just in case, be really clear that you have got clove bud essential oil. I also work with clove leaf essential oil, and that is like a screaming banshee. It's so loud and so harsh, and I would say to anybody, don't, it's not a nice oil at all. So when you're looking at your label, make sure it says clove bud, not clove, because if it's clove, it's probably a mixture of all different parts of the plant, and it's rough and spiteful. I feel like it's a spiteful oil, you know. So let's think about pregnancy first. Would we use in pregnancy? Well, never in the first 16 weeks of pregnancy. But if you were going to use it, again, I would say not more than 1% dilution. I mean, that's my feelings on it. If it's an oil that you must use, and I do think that there are places where we must use clove. It's not one that you can replace very easily, maybe tea tree, but it's so strong and it's so reassuring, you know. Tea tree is not reassuring. And at a time where any kind of fear is not good for the baby, then it's a useful thing to you. But we only want the tiniest little sing-song whisper. So I wouldn't go any more than 1% dilution. Safe for children. I wouldn't want it on any babies under 6 months old. That's an order, really. I would say that about most essential oils, but this one is so fierce. There's no protection on the little skins. It's too hot. And really, I would say 1%, or even I'd feel happier at 0.5%. If it was if it was one of my clients and it was their baby, I would only be using 0.5% dilution. Is it safe for dogs? Yes, but again, really light dilutions, I would kind of go 0.1% and I would choose another. Is it safe for cats? No. It's too high in phenols. They can't digest it. They can't metabolize it. So if you do have it in a diffuser, put the cat in a different room, please. So it is a mild, excuse me, got the itchy nose. a mild dermal irritant, so only use it in small dilutions. It definitely can irritate the skin. But more importantly, there are some people who should avoid using it. So the first is, if you have a platelet disorder or are on blood thinning medications like warfarin, enoxaparin, clexane, heparin, any of those, it will make the blood thinner still. So also, if you are going to have surgery, no clove. There is a more complex one that theoretically it could interfere with certain antidepressants and mood medications, SSRIs specifically, and MOI, monoamine inhibitor medications. Specifically, the MOI ones theoretically could be problematic. Okay, so if you are taking them, yes, use the oil, but take a scientific view of taking notes. How do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel? The contraindication could be serotonin syndrome, which can cause fits, etc. I will put a link below to my video about serotonin syndrome. There is a specific video on my own channel if you're interested, but it is the most minuscule theoretical risk. I wouldn't call it a contraindication, but to be thorough, you need to mention it. Otherwise, maximum dilution, as I say, is 3%. That seems really big to me. So enjoy using clove. It's a beautiful, beautiful oil. It's an extremely helpful oil. It is one in my clique. However, know that it is very fierce, very loud, very strong, and we use complete respect. How do we blend it? Well, let's go over to Budapest and ask the maestro.
Again, and this is my blending part video for clove bud, and let's start with the illustration. And it's so beautiful. Again, it's so beautiful. Look at those little buds, and then just the details, and you know, you have the distinctive clove down at the bottom of the illustration. And it is the keyword is impressionable, and in fact, you know, the aroma of clove bud is impressionable, I would say. Well, there are many Latin names for it, but the currently accepted name is Eugenia caryophyllata. Pardon my Latin. And then in aromatherapy and in perfumery, we use the buds, you know, clove buds. Don't use the stem or a blend of oil. So if you read on the label, the clove bud, that's fine. If you just read clove, that would raise a suspicion for me. And then the reason is because if it's not the buds that the oil is made from, then the oil could be extremely and severely sensitizing and irritating to the skin. So be careful about that, and use and look for materials that on the label it says clove bud. All right, so where do you get usually clove bud? The best oils are produced in Madagascar or in Sri Lanka or in many other countries, but these are really exquisite oils. So the essential oil is produced by steam distillation of the buds, and it has a very unique and very individual aroma, and it's very powerful. So when we are blending with it, depends on if you blend it therapeutically or if you want to blend for perfumery reasons, I would use very minute amounts of clove bud because but it gives a beautiful spicy aroma, beautiful spicy hint to your blends. And if you do therapeutic blending, then I would also be careful about using it on the skin, although it has very many different therapeutic properties, such as analgesic locally. For example, in biological dentistry, they use it for as an analgesic, and they put it on a little cotton swab, an ear pick, for example, and then just dap it on close to the tooth that is aching. Or when they do a root canal, then they can put in a little bit of a little instrument into kind of like a toothpick into the root canal that they drill down and then put in, which is the end of this toothpick-like instrument is soaked with clove oil, and it is an analgesic to the nerve. And in general, I would say the clove bud essential oil is a mental, emotional, and definitely an energizing tonic or energetic tonic. It is definitely a stimulant and a kind of like a fortifier oil. Now, when I want to describe the aroma, I would call it warm, definitely warm. Definitely, I would even call it hot sometimes. But you could definitely call it spicy. And it's definitely a radiant oil, a little bit sweet, as I mentioned, spicy. It's a very full-bodied, a little bit woody, maybe, a little woody undertone sometimes, a little fruity sometimes, but it's definitely sweet. As a blending note, it is a middle to base note. I would use it mostly like as a middle note, but some people describe it as a middle to base note. And in our cards, we mentioned middle to base. And it blends well with many oils, such as like all the other spice oils, right? Like cinnamon, like nutmeg, with black pepper. But it blends well with most of the citrus oils, like bergamots, which in itself is also a little bit spicy, but also blends well with grapefruit or mandarin, and so on and so forth. But it blends well with most of the lavenders and the lavandins. And it has a very interesting combination when you blend it with jasmine or vanilla absolute, or both. So like three of them, like jasmine, vanilla, and clove bud. Very interesting combination, mostly to use it for perfumery reasons. But it also blends well with Roman chamomile. It blends well with geranium, and also blends well with some of the woody oils like sandalwood. Now, back to the therapeutic use. It is definitely a very, very effective antiseptic oil, antiviral. As I mentioned, analgesic, mostly like locally, like on the teeth. But it is also an immune stimulant, and it is also considered as a digestive oil. So if you want to use it in blends for upset stomach or some digestive disorders or upsets, then use clove bud in your blend. So it is actually a possible skin irritant, and mostly when you use the oil that are not made from the buds, then just try to avoid using it. So if you like this little excerpt from my library about clove bud, then watch the remaining of the video with Liz, and then as always just come back and check out our recipes with clove bud in our recipe hub, coming up with new oils every month. And until that, I'll see you next time, and happy blending.
So there we have it. How do you use Clove? Well, carefully but dynamically, hopefully, with all that information. So if you do want to get some of the further resources, obviously look for the link to get your own cards. Get your cards. Honestly, there are no better allies for helping you understand what you need above and beyond what's going on in the physical body. But also, if you do get the cards, I would heartily recommend getting the knowledge base that goes with them. For example, we talked about how Uranus rules the planet, and that's a really fascinating archetype in its own right. I'm pretty sure that the lecture on just on Uranus is half an hour long. It's really fascinating, goes into all about how the receptors work in the body, that kind of thing. So all of that can be found in the knowledge base. And of course, if you are interested in getting more information about how to do the recipes, sign up for the recipe hub. And again, the information for that is below. For now though, thank you for being with me and for learning what is Clove essential oil good for.
You get your phone, turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It will say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to you can send a comment and say like hi's to mum and dad, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.